This is Upfront. Welcome to the show. We are a program produced about artists by artists. And today we have a very special guest, Brice.
Hey, how are you?
Welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Can we just start off by talking a little bit about your interest in music, how early you came to music, how that happened, if you recall, and sort of the beginning of your life in music?
Okay, well, I play the guitar. That's kind of been my main instrument of choice over the years, and I've always loved guitars, and I've always known guitars, and I had relatives who had guitars, and I would get toy little ukulele guitars over the years, and I always figured out a way to create a sound out of the guitar, and I learned from my aunt. One of my favorite aunts, Martell, she told me that.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I had read somewhere that you were self-taught. What does that mean? Just no formal, or that you weren't formally trained?
Well, I figured it out. I started out and I figured it out. Then I learned a little bit from other people. Okay. But no, I didn't have lessons per se. And my style is very unorthodox. I play right-handed guitars, left-handed. I flip them over, and I just take off. So any right-hand guitar would work for me, and that's
amazing.
Yeah.
Now, what did you say about your aunt?
Well, she was telling me a story that I had the little guitar, and I was a kid and sitting on the porch, and we lived in the country, and she said her and my grandmother and my other aunt, her sister, were there, and they said I was just framming along. I was going for it, and said, my grandma said, "What is that sound? What is that I hear?" Mm-hmm. And my two aunts said, "That's Eric." She said, "Eric, what?" She said, "They said with that little guitar, he does it all the time." They said my grandma came out on the porch, and she heard it, and she just immediately started dancing. So she went in all over the yard.
Wow.
Said, my God, God gave my grandson a gift. And they said they danced and they cried, and I framed and I played, and I didn't know any better. I just thought they came out to have fun with me, but that's...
How old were you then?
Yeah, she said I was about 3.
3.
3 or 4.
You know, I've heard that a lot of the greatest players start when they're like 3. They're drawn to it and they pick it up. So any other family members that may have been playing music around you that you may have, ingested some of this without even knowing it, or this is a gift from God, or how are you looking at this?
I have to say, I've heard a lot over the years. Those same aunts, and they were, my dad's younger sisters and brothers, they loved the Motown sound, so there was always a Temptation record or a Supremes record in the house.
Right.
My great-granddad, he founded a church, so we were always in church as a kid when I was really small, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. We left Carolina and moved to Detroit, and it kind of turned on a whole lot more there. But my mom plays piano a little bit, and I'm going to Joyce Brice. She plays piano, and she could really pick out hymns and the like, but I never knew it. I actually didn't hear her play until I was an adult.
Wow.
But she...
So you came up in the church playing music then? Playing guitar in the church, or?
Well, my family, it was a little holiness church that we were in, and I liked it. But we left here. When I left Carolina, I may have been about 5 to 6 years old. Well, my dad and mom didn't do church as much. I would go with my aunts and uncles, and it was not necessary in Detroit, so I heard it. I heard music in a whole different thing in Detroit. On my block, there were 2 or 3 blues guitar players, and and in my neighborhood, in those times, there was a lot of music, a lot of bands, and I could hear it. Yes.
So some of your earliest recordings, I think, that you played on are gospel. Is that true?
Yeah.
And one of them was in Detroit, actually.
A lot of them.
Was that where your first one was? Was it right there?
Yeah, most of them. Yeah, a lot of them were in Detroit.
Who did you play with then? What happened next? Give us
okay. Well, I grew up. I actually moved back here and I started playing again. I actually did play guitar in church and started playing, and I really took it serious maybe about the age of 13 or 14, and
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. That's crazy, yeah.
Right.
and kind of figured it out.
Still no lessons though at that point, or nothing like that.
No. I have a cousin. Now I have to say I have two cousins, and I have to shout out to the dad, who's James Hogan, and he played guitar and he sang at my church, and that was my Elvis Presley, my Jimi Hendrix. That was the model, and he had a son, James Tootie Hogan, and Tootie actually he's still yet amazing. He went on the road and he had the model of what I wanted to do.
I think I read somewhere that you credit him as being a mentor.
Yeah, he's definitely a mentor, and he showed me a few chords, but Tootie was not home enough to just sit me down all of the time.
Right.
And it seemed like what he played was so far advanced from where I was.
Well, what about you? You have a couple other mentors that I think that you mentioned from time to time to different people. I don't know if it's true.
Which ones?
Earl Van Dyke.
Earl Van Dyke, absolutely. I went to Kim Weston, Earl Van Dyke, Thomas Whitfield.
Where was this at?
This is all Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved back to Detroit, and I spent most of the 80s there, and my career actually really started there.
Okay.
Not the Carolinas. It started in Detroit, and it formed in Detroit.
So, let's talk about the first time you went in and recorded on an album. Do you remember? Maybe there have been too many that you can't remember the experience, but can you give us one of those with maybe, I don't know, you've performed a lot with on albums with Melvin Williams, for example, and some of that's gospel. I don't know if that was an early experience or not, but just can you share one of those early experiences?
Yeah, Melvin was down the road. I get to Melvin. I started. There was a guy named Rudy Stanfield, and he did a record on Linda Adams, and he gave me a shot to play on the record, and I didn't do too bad. I think that's the first project that actually came out that I did, but it gave me a little notoriety in the city. Right. And I started getting other calls, playing, it's still gospel, playing in church, and this particular home church where we were is the same home church as it was James Cleveland's church and Keith Pringle's church.
What name is that? What's the name? Do you remember?
Prayer Tabernacle. Okay. Prayer Tabernacle Church, and Thomas Whitfield and those people, they actually looked out, and and it was cool. It was cool. Yeah.
Well, what happened with you stayed with working with the gospel for a while, and you started doing some more albums. I mean, I know the reason I'm asking about the one with Melvin, or the 3 or 4 you did with Melvin, is because some people thought Juanita Bynum, was she on there? Did you work with her?
Well, the way it happens is we cut the tracks first. The musicians come in and cut the tracks first, and Melvin is he's one of my mentors too, and one of my favorite guitar players. He's also a left-handed upside down guy, and a lot of people don't know that he'll really clean your clock playing guitar. He's a really great guitar player.
I want to see this, by the way, after the break. This upside down.
Oh, that's nothing to it. Yeah. Melvin called me, and we joke about it. He says, well, I was going to call another friend of mine, Jonathan Dubose, but he wasn't available, so somebody gave me your number, and we're going to try you out. And he
needs to be down here right now, right?
Yeah, we went to Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi, Malaco Records. A lot of the records we did there. And that first album forged a great, long-lasting relationship between me and Melvin and Doug and Henry Green, and actually their big brother Frank Williams. Frank was the executive producer over most of the things that we did, and it was just good going.
I listened to some of that, some of the songs from one of the albums, and I noticed that they are really, really traditional. Some of the songs are very traditional style of gospel. Yeah. They're not, contemporary Christian, all that. They're not. Right. They're very, very much part of our history and our heritage. Oh yeah. In the transformative, because they're being redone and added to all the time. But I just I noticed that, so I thought wow, maybe there's a this is by design. There's an interest in trying to make sure that we retain our music in this way. I didn't know how, I don't know, I started wondering about your spiritual mission with working with these projects at that point. I didn't know, maybe you didn't have it developed, maybe you're just doing music where you could do music at that point, I don't know. But.
Oh no, I had a relationship with God. That's foremost, number one. I keep the relationship going. Be it secular music, be it R&B, be it rock, be it blues. That's the God thing is just a part of who I am. It comes with the package.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a listen to something that you've done recently.
Okay.
And we'll be right back. We're gonna see if we can enjoy this with our audience. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay. so much for that. We always love to hear you play. That was just beautiful. This is Up Front, and we're here with Eric Brice.
Okay.
And would you explain about the left-handed guitar? How did you explain what you explained to me on the break? Will you tell the audience how you figured this out?
Okay. I don't know. It just I picked up guitars and they would just be guitars, and I'm left-handed, and I turned it around what felt comfortable for me, and this is what happened. And what happens is right-handed players play this way with right-handed guitars, and I just take right-handed guitars and I flip them over and I play the way. Kind of like that.
So that really involves an inversion, also, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Of the notes.
Well, yeah. You have to think of the way I see it. I actually see it as right-handed, but you're doing everything backwards.
Amazing. So you figured that out as a child. What is wrong with the rest of us?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you just share some of the people that you've worked with? I know you've worked with a lot of people across the country as well as locally.
Mm-hmm.
And who are some of those that you've had some memorable experiences with? But first, just give me some names that people might know or might recognize, locally or national artists.
Okay. Well, the national artists, if I started with the Detroit run, I would have to, like I said, there was the Thomas Whitfield Company with the founder, obviously Thomas Whitfield, the Clark sisters, with Maddie Moss Clark. Those are really my true dear friends. Karen, Twinkie, Dorinda, Jackie. Mm-hmm. They're all my, Denise, they're all my really good friends, and they kind of treat me like a little brother sometimes. So me and Sister Clark were pretty tight. The Moss family, the Winans,
right?
Commission. Fred Hammond. Fred is not only is one of my favorite singers, but he's actually a buddy of mine. He's an old school buddy. We graduated from high school together. And
where was that? Detroit?
This is Detroit.
He's one of my favorites too.
Yeah,
I love him. Very inspirational.
Mm-hmm. But prior to that career, we used to. Actually, he plays bass, and we used to back BB and CC Winans. All friends. And
right. Now, you've traveled with some of these, some of the folks that you got to know as well. So, as you're mentioning people, what kind of travel did you have, especially abroad? I'm interested in knowing because I know you did some tours.
Well, with the Clark sisters, I always say, cars, trains, planes, buses, automobiles, vans. We did them all. I started out with them in cars, and we rode vans. We did RVs, and we done tour buses, and we also done planes, and everything across the country. We traveled back and forth across the country.
Was this the
80s, early 80s, and Commission was the same way. My first out of the country engagement was with those guys in London. We did the UK.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Right.
And, then I left there, and I started with Stephanie Mills, and I did actually a Stephanie Mills run. I toured with her for about 10 years.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that you would play with her, but I didn't know for about 10 years.
Yeah, that was a long run.
Were you on some of her albums?
I played on her gospel record, and then there was, I can't think of the name of the record. I played on another one of her albums. Yeah.
Because we haven't talked a lot about genre, but you do actually do gospel, but you also do R&B and pop, right?
Yeah, I'm a professional musician.
Right.
I play guitar.
Right. Okay.
And I love the Lord.
Okay.
So it's
Well, I'm asking because there was a rap album that you
Rap.
Rap.
Yeah,
the rap in Atlanta.
Yeah,
you recorded in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's Jermaine Dupri, my friend Jermaine.
Oh yes, and I actually at first I was like, and I listened to it. I was like, okay, this is really good.
Wow, you did your research.
Yeah, I mean it was really good.
Yeah.
And but we wanted to talk about. I don't want to forget. So I'm going to bring it up now. Brian McKnight. What was that experience like? Did you actually get to work with him, or did you record separately from him? How was that like? What was it like? And then what was the name of the album was?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Brian called me,
You know him? You knew him before that?
I met Brian years ago before he was the celebrity Brian McKnight. I met him. His older brother Claude is one of the founders of Take Six.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that, but Claude McKnight is Brian's big brother, and he's one of the main guys for Take Six, and commissioned the group that I was with, and Take Six used to travel a lot together now, and also with the Winans.
More Than Words, and I don't know how I could forget that because that's one of the tracks on there too.
Yeah, More Than Words.
Is the album, and then another track on there is Sweeter. That was my favorite.
Yeah,
you played that. You played on that one too.
I played on one of the songs. He called me and he said, Eric, and I was like, yeah, this is Brian. I was like, Brian who? He's like, Brian McKnight. And I was like, oh, okay, how you doing?
Right.
And he said, man, I need you to play on something. I was like, really, man? Just like you said, he plays guitar.
Right.
Man, you could get anybody to play guitar. He's like, no, I want your feel. I want the old commission feel that you guys used to do in the song.
Right.
Had a decidedly commission feel, so he asked me to do it. And he actually sent the music to me, and this is my space where I create and work. So I pulled it up on my computer and
I hope we get a good shot of the space before we're done today because it's a fantastic studio.
Yeah,
really
so
nice.
yeah.
So how did it go? I thought it went. I mean, I heard the end product, but how?
Yeah, well, it went well. He sent me the music to listen to, and I just pulled it up and I started working on it. When I sent back to him.
Yeah, people need to really listen
he
to
loved
that.
it, and
he did. Yeah,
he put it out.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, really good. So that was that experience. Then what about your travel with Chaka Khan? That's the last one I'm really asking, right?
Okay.
Well, no. Can you tell me about that? What was that like?
Okay, with Shaka,
because it was more than it was a few years.
Yeah, I ran with Shaka for about 3 to 4 years.
And when was this period about?
2007, 2008.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Right.
Yeah.
What was that like? Was that home part of the time, on the road part of the time, or traveling the whole time?
Yeah, it was home part of the time. Most tours are like that. Home part of the time and out part of the time. We would do. Well, the first part of it was a tour, and that was a 2-month tour. Okay. So we were gone.
All right.
You know, only
overseas at that point, or
no. It was here in the States. Okay. We did that one in the States, and then we went to Japan. And I said, the tour is over, and it's like, cool, but can you go to Japan? I was like, cool, all right, okay, cool. Can you go to Africa? Yeah, okay. Man, just keep booking it. And that was a whole great experience.
Was it great?
Yeah, she's amazing.
Okay.
She's amazing.
I wondered how that was, especially going to different countries. You haven't been there before, and then are you working with musicians from the countries too, or just your band stays together?
Yeah, our band stays together.
Okay,
our whole band stays together, and we done some pretty good places.
All right, all right. Can we talk about gospel just for a little bit? Because you've been doing some things here for the last, I think, encouraging other musicians and working on a project here for the last 8 years. Am I wrong?
Oh yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, we have a ministry that we do, and when I say we, it's called The Experience. And I guess 2 of the staple members would be myself and my wife Dina. I think you met her.
Yes.
And we do that, and we have a amazing crew of people who share with us, and it actually started out in a coffee house. And we were really playing songs to see if people liked them, and if they liked them, then we come back and record them.
The same coffee house that we talked about earlier, that's where it started, and this was a continuation of that?
Yes,
the
Java Bean. Java Bean.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we thought we were doing one thing, and it kind of flipped into something else. It actually became a place where, Christian people could come, and it was very, or whoever could come. It was very non-threatening. We didn't play a lot of gospel songs really. That it was kind of split down the middle.
Right.
And we would expound jazz-wise. Yes.
I happened to be there one night when you were doing a tribute to Andre Crouch.
Oh yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was very beautiful. So does that mean that Andre Crouch is one of your favorites, or somebody that you also play with? I didn't know.
No, I never played with Andre.
Oh.
I wish I had.
Ah.
But now the music director, I'm gonna shout Andrew Goucher.
Okay.
Andrew Goucher is the same guy who called me to play with him with Shaka Khan. He was the music director and he needed me to play. Andrew was with Andre for years.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And,
right, because I thought there were some personal stories that were kind of coming out. I didn't hear it. Okay.
Well, I've worked with enough of the other, you know, a lot of the other people. I'm connected, kind of, sort of.
Well, how would you feel about playing us out? So we're going to go listen to something else that you've done recently in the city, but would you like to just play us out into the break?
Ooh, playing you out into the break.